Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to In.The.News. Live news and commentary from around the world by your host, Holy Joe Rock and Roll.
Good morning, everyone. It's February the 11th, 2016. I'm your host, Holy Joe Rock and Roll, and welcome to In the News. Today I want to discuss the aftermath of the Iowa and New Hampshire primaries. Just 2 days ago, the New Hampshire primaries concluded, and we saw, just real briefly, Bernie Sanders massively outperforming Hillary Clinton by over 20 points. And on the Republican side, Donald Trump destroying all of his opponents by almost twice. We're seeing Bernie Sanders beating Hillary Clinton by 20%, and we're seeing Donald Trump beating the next competitor by almost 100%, right? Almost 100%. Right? So, massive upset in both of these parties. A couple of things to note. Hillary Clinton gave her concession speech, and she said here, people have every right to be angry, right? This is coming from a woman who said that Donald Trump's tone, she didn't like Donald Trump's tone. It's really kind of odd. And I think this really is further evidence that Hillary Clinton, as a candidate, she's a very poor candidate. In 2008, when she ran, it was everybody assumed that she was going to be the nominee, that she would win the primaries, and an unknown first-term senator named Barack Hussein Obama basically came out of nowhere and decimated her. She's not a strong candidate. In this race now, we see Bernie Sanders, a freaking acknowledged socialist/communist, beating her. It's like ABC, anybody but Clinton, on the Democrat side. So that is just astounding. And whether his momentum, Bernie Sanders' momentum, continues into South Carolina is yet to be seen, but it appears very clear that Hillary Clinton, once again, is just a weak candidate. Just weak. And it's kind of like she's old news, and nobody wants her. I mean, God, Bernie Sanders is older than Hillary by about 4 or 5 years, but he seems to be obviously igniting the base of the Democrat Party and increasing the turnout, and it's all good. It's all good that people get involved. Now let's turn to the Republican side. Donald Trump obviously has cranked up the volume on the Republican side and brought out record numbers to both the Iowa caucuses and the New Hampshire primary. I think it could be said that in Iowa we saw Cruz winning by statistically 4 percentage points over Donald Trump, but only the Cruz campaign misunderstood, I'll put that in air quotes, misunderstood that Carson was leaving the race. You know, there's 15 other people running in Iowa, and only the Cruz campaign took that deceitful tactic of claiming that Carson was getting out of the race and for those people to give their support to Cruz. How sleazy, how dishonest. And I think Iowa's the action of Cruz in Iowa is reflected in the results in New Hampshire. The momentum is gone for Cruz, with John Kasich bringing up the number 2 position. Ted Cruz at a distant 11.5%. So Donald Trump, more than 3 times got through more than 3 times the support of Ted Cruz in New Hampshire. Now, we can say that Ohio and New Hampshire perhaps are outlier states, maybe not representative of the entire population. And, okay, you could argue that either way. They are representative, but maybe not representative of the entire country. But the polls in South Carolina, our next primary, are hugely in favor of Donald Trump. On the Democrat side, it's not clear which way it's leaning. The talking heads claim that Hillary Clinton has strong support there, especially because there's a larger minority community, meaning African American community in South Carolina. But it's really unclear if Hillary has their support. this time around. So we shall see. So those are some of my thoughts. John Kasich invested a lot in New Hampshire, and it's really unclear whether that momentum will continue into South Carolina. It may just be that, like 2012, when Mitt Romney became the ultimate nominee, Donald Trump may remain in the number one position with other candidates rotating through the number two slot as time goes by. But it just seems that the Trump support is so strong that he probably will continue to win these primaries. There's no other candidate out there. Now, after the results of New Hampshire, two additional candidates have left on the Republican side. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie has left the race, and also former business executive Carly Fiorina has left the race. Both of them were very low in the polls, very low, and really had no chance. Christie missed his chance. He should have ran in 2012. He probably would have had a better chance there. That was before Bridgegate, and he probably would have had a much better chance winning a nomination. Definitely would have done better in 2012. But as we've noticed in the past, the media is completely biased against these frontrunners. In Iowa, what happened? Rubio, who came in third place, was considered the winner, right? And Trump was considered a loser because he came in second place, even after we knew of the shenanigans by the Cruz campaign. Now here in New Hampshire, Donald Trump romps the competition, and John Kasich is hailed as the winner because he sort of came out of nowhere. It's really, when you listen, just focus, just listen to the narrative coming out of the mainstream media, and you just see how biased it is, right? How biased the mainstream media is against Trump. And I think in the last debate, it became increasingly clear that Donald Trump is not controlled by anyone. He is a capitalist. He is a businessman. He has a lot of ideas that to improve the country and reduce the spending in a very positive way, eliminating waste. In his campaign speeches, he's mentioned just one solution that could conceivably save $300 billion, and that is to negotiate with the pharmaceutical companies for Medicare. I mean, this is the crazy thing. George W. Bush got pharmaceutical coverage included in Medicare. Nobody was asking for it. He just did it. And the agreement was, we'll do this, but we won't negotiate prices. That's just insane. I remember, that's just insane. And you know that the pharmaceutical companies obviously convinced politicians to go for this. And because there is no price competition, pharmaceuticals are making billions of dollars off the taxpayer. So that just one simple solution, one simple decision would save the country. Think about that. If we're looking at $500 billion annual deficits, if you cut that more than half, saving $300 billion each year, that is a major, significant cost-cutting measure which would not affect patient outcome, would not affect patients getting their prescriptions. The Medicare would just pay less. So this race is really looking more and more interesting. And I think if you're not engaged, you really need to, get engaged and focus on the campaigns, what people are actually saying, what people are actually doing, and get activated and vote this time around. I'm Holy Joe Rock and Roll. This has been In the News.
Take care. In the News, a feature of HJRR TV and presented by the Reverend Dr. Holy Joe Rock and Roll. Please rate us, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to this channel for more In the News.